Well, Pastor Doug, why all the excitement about some kind of a Sunday law? Probably a lot of people might think, well, it's a good idea. Yeah, we need to have some legislation. We got to bring America back to God. We got to restore the family. But you mentioned something about Bible prophecy, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You find something in Revelation chapter 13, and Pastor Doug, we can maybe talk about a few of these verses. In Revelation chapter 13, you have two beasts that are described. The first beast, we find in verse 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, John writes, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on its horns 10 crowns, and on its heads a blasphemous name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, a beast in Bible prophecy represents a political power.
Right.
But this is more than just a political power, it's also religious power.
Mm-hmm.
You read on a little further in verse 5, it says, he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a number of clues in this passage as to who the identity of this first beast is, the one that comes up from the sea. The 42 months, there are 30 days in a Hebrew month.
Mm-hmm.
30 times 42 is 1,260. One prophetic day equals 1 literal year. Now, we know what that time period refers to. It refers to the 1,260 years of papal supremacy that began in 538 AD and ended in 1798. The passage goes on to say that this beast receives a deadly wound, but the deadly wound is healed. The deadly wound, of course, 1798, when Berthier, Napoleon's general, marched into Rome, proclaimed the political rule of the papacy at an end, took the Pope prisoner back to France where he died. But then the Bible says the deadly wound will be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1929, Mussolini gave the papacy back political power, not just religious power, and Vatican became an independent nation.
Yeah.
So we know who this first beast is.
Read Revelation, don't do it right now, but Revelation 17 talks about that
Very
woman
clearly.
sitting on that beast. And it says it's that city that rules over the kings of the earth, sitting among 7 hills, decked with gold, the mother of harlots. All of the Protestant reformers identified that with the papacy.
That's right. And then not only does it talk about who this beast power is, but it also says that as it grows in popularity, it is going to force a certain type of worship upon the world. Now, we know things are happening in the world around us. A lot of Protestant churches don't realize their roots. They don't realize why they protested against the Catholic Church to begin with. They are starting to come together, especially on some common ground like the family, on different issues in society. And there's this coming together. Now, what's interesting about chapter 13, you have this first beast, the sea beast, but around 1798, when the papal power receives its deadly wound, there is another beast that's described. Maybe you can talk about this one, Pastor Doug. I saw another beast coming up from the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spake like a dragon. So we're looking around 1798, another power that would arise in a sparsely populated area. Well, who's this beast power?
Well, it was right at 1798 that the nations of Europe began to finally recognize that the United States had completely broken off the rule of Britain, and they started treating them as an independent nation. And 2 horns like a lamb, the 2 horns represent, it was a government that had no king, and they had church with no pope. So there was freedom of religion, there was freedom of self-rule. And of course, that was an experiment, and that democratic experiment was very successful. Christianity spread around the world. America became the #1. It starts like a lamb. The U.S. was the #1 missionary supporting organization in the world soon. And that form of government began to spread. Democracy, or rather monarchies, began to fall around the world. And so it was a time of tremendous upheaval.